by the sports guy is when you pull up, if you happen to be on ESPN, the top 25 tab, you shift it to Division I. Ranked games, nothing to do with them. A lot of totals. And he is right now eating. I don't understand what's going on here, man. He's involved in a game I'd never expect him to be involved with. In a way, I never expect him to be involved with. All of a sudden, the main event of this slate has changed, and what I am most interested in has changed, and that's before we even factor in I'm going head-to-head with Sam in this game. We will get to it, people. We will absolutely get to it. What a college card tonight. In less than 30 minutes, the unbeaten Miami of Ohio Red Hawks will take the floor in MAC play against Eastern Michigan. Look to get to 28-0. It is becoming increasingly likely that this team will actually button up the regular season unbeaten, and many people believe that that fact alone should be enough to clinch their spot in the NCAA tournament. I am still not entirely positive it is, but we will find out in time. At the 7 o'clock hour, a handful of great games, but many will be excited to see your new number one team in the AP poll, a team who right now likely owns the number one overall seed, yet still trails just behind the favorite status on the odds boards. That is the Duke Blue Devils as they beat Michigan over the weekend in one of the most anticipated regular season college basketball games we have seen in many, many years. And a game in which Cam Boozer may get handed the Wooden Award twice for the season that he is having for the Blue Devils. Yaxel Lendenborg on the other side was really, really good, especially in the first half of that game. Came back on late in the second, a 68-63 final. And Duke tonight tries to follow that up, laying almost 20 on the road in ACC play against a Notre Dame team that has really struggled since conference action has begun. The other ACC matchup, though, probably the more intriguing, certainly expected to be a little bit closer contested. That's Virginia. It's NC State, a Wolfpack team that's been trying to stack them recently. That awful Louisville result was followed up by an awesome UNC result. UVA just keeps on churning, man. Sitting here right now, 24-3. A win here tonight against NC State could be one of their most marquee of the season. A little bit later on, you'll see top five, Michigan, Arizona, and Iowa State. Late night, it is A.J. Dybonsa with outrageous numbers being listed in the market. A.J. Dybonsa currently sitting with a points prop of 30.5. It's maybe moved a little bit since open. The question, the yes, no, if you will, for Dybonsa is, will he score 30? A remarkable season for this freshman class. The other trio, or the other member of that trident, if you will, Boozer, Dybonsa, was Peterson. And Kansas last night got one of their biggest wins of the season, knocking off Houston, who has now lost not one, not two, but 3 straight games. And I understand the numbers shine still quite favorably with the Cougs. The national title price has come back a bit, currently on FanDuel, tied for the 5th best odds with Illinois. When you look at the overall KenPom numbers, they're just falling down to 6th. It's not a great resume for Houston. It's just not. Like the loss at Iowa State and the loss at Kansas, you could forgive if it wasn't in the middle showing you a home loss to Arizona. And it's a hard Houston team to kind of wrap your hands around. Their remaining 3 games, they will win by over 59.5 combined points. Colorado, Baylor, Oklahoma State. The question is, will the Cougs win the Big 12 tournament, which is, I think, the only way they can get themselves back to the one line. It feels like Duke, Michigan, and Arizona have maybe all locked in one-line spots. Tomorrow we get UConn St. John's. I would say the Huskies need it to keep their chances alive. Can Florida put their heads down, get up to that one line? They'd probably have to win out. Possible, though. It's possible for last year's defending champs. Iowa State, we saw the committee's rankings, gave us the 4th spot at the time. They, though, proceeded to lose to BYU, albeit on the road, but still lost. That 4th spot's up for grabs right now. Great college card tonight. Super excited to get involved. Pretty good NBA slate tonight. Statement win from San Antonio yesterday at Detroit. Wembanyama with 21, 17, and 6. We will see how the 2 top teams in the East, well, that's disrespectful to Boston. Let me not say that. But let the coming into the season projected to be top 2 teams show out. It's Cleveland. It's New York. It is in Cleveland where the Cavs are a 4.5-point favorite, number climbing their direction. It feels like a statement is up for grabs for whomever wants it. The Cavs this weekend lost at Oklahoma City as 4.5-point favorites. The 8-point loss may look bad. They were getting ran off the floor in the early beginning and at one point actually pulled back a lead. They showed themselves just fine in that spot. The Knicks, though, have been trading off impressive wins and getting punked. It sure would be a nice time for the Knicks to pull off an impressive win. I'm a bit dubious as to whether or not they can do that. We'll see how the Lakers respond after getting their doors blown off by Boston, though perhaps for the Lakers it's not that jarring a result. They played a good team. Of course they got their doors blown off. A right now uninspiring group who is wasting some of the few remaining days of LeBron James's NBA career, and I'm supposed to say, oh, that's fine, because they'll have cap space next year, and wasting the prime of woohoo! Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely a great thing that they've got going on. There is also still plenty of NFL news that we are waiting to trickle out. We're getting closer, of course, to your NFL Combine. So there are some eyes on Major League Baseball as spring training is underway, and I think Connor Griffin is averaging a home run a minute, it feels like, at this point right now. The Pirates Rookie of the Year candidate, seeing his number move off of spring training, certainly an impressive feat as well. So we will get into it all here. It's going to be a great night on this Tuesday. Tom Vecchio joins us. We've got Coach James Young in the fold, as well as Brady Cannon to talk a little bit of golf. Rory knocked on the door, could not close it shut. We'll get into it all, but we go to the College Board after the break on SportsGrid.
George Rutschman is an interesting one here. I mean, this was somebody that we were told was going to be a superstar. I feel like we've done this now with back-to-back young catchers on Baltimore that they've taken. They've taken Matt Wieters. Remember when they took him super high and everyone thought he was the second coming? Then they took Adley Rutschman. I guess the good news is they have Sam Basallo, who's supposed to be fantastic too, but can't whiff on 3 like that, can you?
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Last year, bumped up 10% for the season tickets here. The Bears this year going up by 13.5%. When is too much where it just comes like, I'm just going to sit at home on my couch and not be charged anything and enjoy my day, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll see it because there'll be a lot of empty seats in that stadium, Donnie, and then you'll know when the line has been drawn.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
I actually, and I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, game time decisions here on a Tuesday night, and I don't want to make you wait much longer to talk about the team best bets. And this is a really fun college card tonight, so we will get into it, okay? Now, 2 of these come from the college game. 2 of them come from the NBA game. We'll explain the NBA side of it in our next segment here. I'm on a Lakers team total over 117.5. Simple bounce back spot. There's more to it than that. Kofsky's on a Jalen Johnson 44 points, rebounds, and assists prop, 44-plus PRA. Johnson up against the Zards. It's going to be interesting to see. Jonathan Kuminga will be making his debut. AJ back to old reliable. Missouri money line at home against Tennessee. Mizzou has been legitimately flawless in this spot. We'll see if they can make it a 4th time. And then there is whatever that is, which is the Sam Yarnell Texas Tech -6.5 spot. This is, I mean this so sincerely, something that we'll just share the plans I've been wanting to do for a bit of time, which is to get some of our favorites in the back and get them up here on the decisions desk to ask them questions and pick their very, very interesting minds. I almost broke all protocol and put that in act today, the second I saw that from Sam, because, simply put, I don't know how often he bets top 25 sides. Feels like, in the month of February, never. Feels like, I would argue. We could check the archives. I feel good about never, though. There was a Houston first half spread bet when they played Iowa State. That tracks, though. He called it a system play. I don't know what the system is. I don't know if he does. So how he gets to Texas Tech -6.5 interests me a great deal when I am on Cincinnati +6.5. You'll have to take my word for it, but I basically conducted the interview during our commercial break to get even more and more insight. And, I mean, it does make some sense. It's not entirely, I feel, how he caps, but who knows? Cincinnati is coming off of their best win of the season. That we can agree on. They beat Kansas by 16 at Fog Allen. I mean, it was a remarkable win. It's probably why you were able to get Kansas at a dog price again at home on a Monday night. I don't think that's going to happen again. Maybe they don't play another Monday at home. But if they do, I don't think they're going to be dogs. And that sell high on Cincy spot is fair. It's something you could easily point back to this weekend, a spot that on College Basketball Today I was very wrong about with Creighton, who had their biggest win of the season at UConn, and it potentially gave them reason to believe, could we sneak into the NCAA tournament? They caught 12.5, went to St. John's. Hey, keep it close. Let's show out. Whoa, Nelly, lost by 30. They got dog-walked by St. John's. I think Cincinnati is in a similar spot, though a little bit more of a obtainable goal here for Cincy, right? If they win here tonight, all of a sudden, above 500 in Big 12 play, 16-12 on the year. The remaining games are Oklahoma State, BYU at home, and then at TCU. If they're a dog in any of those games, it's by less than 3. All of a sudden, Cincinnati can think about getting to the tournament if they are able to beat Texas Tech tonight. But there's also a Texas Tech piece of this. It's something we see in the NBA all the time. Think back to when Nikola Jokic was ruled out for that stretch. And Denver's immediate reply was to have Jamal Murray give you 38, 14, and 6 and win as a sizable underdog. Texas Tech's first game since the JT Toppin news, the unfortunate ACL tear that removes their best player from their roster, was to hang 100 on Kansas State. Tracks easily my biggest regret of the betting weekend was not being on the Texas Tech team total. Kind of realized it during our College Basketball Today. Ultimately didn't play it. It was clearly a winner 6 minutes in. They made 13 threes. Donovan Atwell was fantastic. Christian Anderson set everyone up. It was awesome. And usually, the bottom falls out the next game. Usually, that one game everybody is ready to step up and take on their new role, the next game is a lot harder. And for Texas Tech to do that against an awful Kansas State team, specifically awful Kansas State defense, and to have to try and do it again against a very good Cincinnati defense and a team playing their best basketball this season, I think it's too many points. Cincinnati closed 8.5 at Kansas. 8.5. 6.5 tonight for Texas Tech without topping. This number's a little too tall here. I'm on Cincinnati. Same number, different team. Also a head-to-head, though. If you check out Freezer Burn Bets in the full card, shout out to the boy. I'm on NC State plus the 6.5 tonight against UVA. The last time NC State played on the road, they lost by 41. That's motivation to me to get up for the game. And you might say that's not enough. I disagree with you. I think it is quite a bit enough. I do. I think UVA at 6.5 suggests that home court advantage is worth, at least full 4 points in this spot. I don't agree. Because I think NC State will be ready to meet this moment on the road. They've been off a week. They haven't played since their North Carolina 24-point win. Virginia played Saturday in a dogfight against Miami where they won by 3. A win and no cover. Maybe tonight's the same. I think NC State's going to be ready for this game. It's a big opportunity for them to go out there and maybe stun Virginia. We're going to play NC State plus the 6.5. The last play on the college card for me, my favorite of the bunch. UCF plus 12.5. BYU got their best of the season on Saturday. No doubt about it. A double-digit win against an Iowa State team, impressive. All that required was 40 minutes from A.J. Dybonsa, an efficient 29, 10, and 9, and another 40 minutes from Rob Wright. And I understand Rob Wright wasn't great, but when you start asking your best guys to play 40 minutes, that adds up. I know UCF can't guard, but they can score, and they run. And they're going to run here tonight with BYU, and they're going to stay inside this 12.5 all game long, even if Dybonsa goes for 35, 12, and 8. Which would be a delight to see. We'll shift it to the NBA after a quick break here on SportsGrid.
George Rutschman is an interesting one here. I mean, this was somebody that we were told was going to be a superstar. I feel like we've done this now with back-to-back young catchers on Baltimore that they've taken. They've taken Matt Wieters. Remember when they took him super high and everyone thought he was the second coming? Then they took Adley Rutschman. I guess the good news is they have Sam Basalo, who's supposed to be fantastic too, but can't whiff on 3 like that, can you?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Last year, bumped up 10% for the season tickets here. The Bears this year going up by 13.5%. When is too much where it just comes like, I'm just going to sit at home on my couch and not be charged anything and enjoy my day, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll see it because there'll be a lot of empty seats in that stadium, Donnie, and then you'll know when the line has been drawn.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, back right here on SportsGrid on a Tuesday night. Great to be in the mix. Went through the college games that I am on. There are a handful of great college games tonight that we will be tracking without a doubt. One that I'm not betting, I'm just so curious to see what happens with Arizona-Baylor. Numbers just move towards Baylor nonstop, but I've tried this with the Bears a few times. I've been so sure that, Baylor would finally get one, and they have not. This would be an incredible one if they get it. It would also be quite surprising. Let's go over to the NBA here on a Tuesday night. A couple of plays for me on this card. I mentioned my favorite. It's late, but it's my favorite. It's a Lakers team total over 117.5. The defense right now is pretty messy from this team. Offensively, though, they are very good. And you might say, well, what happened against the Celtics? Well, the Celtics are one of the 8 best defenses in the NBA, and they play at the slowest pace. So once they get out to a lead like they did, they really get to shrink this game down. And I think we're seeing the Lakers off an 89-point performance actually get posted with a number that is overreacting a little bit. If you just kind of do the one-to-one comparison, the Lakers team total tonight is only about 3 points more than it was against Boston. Orlando is a worse defense and relatively a much faster basketball team. I think the Lakers across the board bounce back offensively are into the 120s. You might say, hey, that'll be enough to cover. I think Orlando's starting to play some better basketball right now, and I don't want to lay 5.5 freely and thoughtlessly with the Lakers, even if I do think they will win this game against the Magic. I do think the Raptors will win tonight against Oklahoma City. Their money line was anywhere between minus 120, and I know it's up to it as high as around minus 140 in some spots right now. Overnight, OKC opened 1.5. Not a full surprise. They are the Thunder, 1. And 2, they were off of a fantastic win at home against Cleveland. But now they are on the road against the Raptors team playing really good basketball. The more important thing as this line overnight flipped from 1.5 OKC to 1.5 Toronto is it wasn't just bets. Chet Holmgren was questionable. Is questionable with back spasms. I can't imagine the Thunder play Chet. Like, ultimately, there's nothing the Thunder are doing right now that suggests they care about seeding. And if Chet doesn't play, this should be 4.5, 5. So I'll play the Raptors money line here in this spot tonight against OKC. More of a money line night for me than typical, but you guys know I don't like missing out on numbers. And I missed out on the best of the numbers for Cavs Knicks. I know some people got some 2.5s. There were, readily available 3.5s late last night. But this morning, seeing 4.5 painted pretty much everywhere, I just felt like I missed the best of the number. And I still think that Cleveland wins this game. Because I think at home, there's a statement to be made for the Cavs. With Harden, Mobley back, and it's a Knicks team I just don't trust. I don't know if they like each other. I don't know if they like Mike Brown. I don't know if Mike Brown likes them. It's weird right now in New York. If they get it done, good for them. But it makes more sense to play against them. However, I didn't get the best of the number. So I'm going to bring the Wolves into the fold. And basically take, guys, not my favorite cap in the world, I promise you. 2 teams I fully expect to win. Don't necessarily love the spreads. And bring them together. It's the Wolves off a loss. It's the Cavs off a loss. And it's a moneyline parlay that's at around plus 120 when you put them together. The last piece for me on this NBA card tonight is a player prop, and it is Michael Porter Jr. over 3.5 made threes. MPJ has not hit multiple threes in a game since the All-Star break. 3 straight. His streak pre-All-Star break was 1 game long. Had not happened in consecutive games. He is right now 3 for 23 from beyond the arc since the break. At home against a Dallas team that doesn't guard, Porter Jr. should break out. So instead of playing a safe 2.5, we played 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5. Or another way to say it, we played 4, 5, 6, and 7 with Michael Porter Jr. over the 3.5 made threes tonight here up against the Dallas Mavericks. So that is where the NBA card checks in. And a reminder of the best bets for myself and our team. Lakers team total over 117.5. Chris with a Jalen Johnson PRA prop. Darnell, Texas Tech minus the 6.5. And Missouri money line plus 125 for AJ.
George Rutschman is an interesting one here. I mean, this was somebody that we were told was going to be a superstar. I feel like we've done this now with back-to-back young catchers on Baltimore that they've taken. They've taken Matt Wieters. Remember when they took him super high and everyone thought he was the second coming? Then they took Adley Rutschman. I guess the good news is they have Sam Basalo, who's supposed to be fantastic too, but can't whiff on 3 like that, can you?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Last year, bumped up 10% for the season tickets here. The Bears this year going up by 13.5%. When is too much where it just comes like, I'm just going to sit at home on my couch and not be charged anything and enjoy my day, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll see it because there'll be a lot of empty seats in that stadium, Donnie, and then you'll know when the line has been drawn.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We are live with you on a Tuesday night, and it's great to be in the mix on this Tuesday. We were not here on a Monday. It did rob us a little bit of the opportunity to talk about everybody's new favorite sport, or certainly everybody's favorite sporting event of the Winter Olympics, which was the USA men's hockey team winning the gold medal in overtime against Canada. Someone that we, of course, know was more than plugged into this game here. It's our guy, Tom Vecchio. We'll talk some football as well. We'll see if Tom likes anything on the NBA slate tonight. But, Tom, great to have you, man. USA wins gold.
They did. Very exciting game. I was live doing pro baseball today during the end of the game, and obviously during overtime. The actual moment they scored, we were at a commercial. But, fantastic performance from them. I said to you multiple times that they would essentially need to play a perfect game against Canada in order to beat them. And they played nearly perfect, especially that 5-on-3 penalty kill that they had to shut out Canada during that time was huge. Canada made a few mistakes and, USA played nearly perfect and it was good enough to win. And that's all that matters. Beyond happy. Really can't express how happy I am.
So, There's a lot of people who were really annoyed about the 3-on-3 stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I thought we pretty much knew, right, that we were going to get a winner in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, Tom, like, first of all, we already knew that was the case going in, but I thought it was good. I don't know, were you all the hockey purists were really angry about it. I thought it added to the intensity ultimately.
Here's how I view it. It's almost like the tush push. Like, it's the rule. Deal with it. Because when it comes down to it, the three best players, not in the tournament, not in the game, the three best players in the world playing hockey are Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and Cale Makar. And, they all happen to be on the same team. You have the three best players in the world, okay? Stop complaining about it. Play your three best players and win the game. It's as simple as that. So whatever happened, Binnington played a good game outside of the goal that he gave up, which he could have saved that at the end of Hughes. But those are the rules. We knew it coming in. Have a plan for that. Have a plan how to counter it, and it didn't come to fruition. Too bad.
Yeah, but I think some of the complaints, Tom, like, were coming in before.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know. It didn't bother me one bit. I know that I'm not the purist. What did you make of McDavid winning tournament MVP?
We talked about that going into prior to the gold medal game, where just because of the points, just because of his performance, he could very easily win it, just based on the entirety of the tournament. It's not just the final, obviously. It's group stage, it's the bracket play, etc. I don't have a problem with it. He deserves to win it. It could have gone to Hellebuck because he was absolutely unbelievable. But to see McDavid win it, I have no issue with it.
Where do you land on the legacy of Connor McDavid right now? As someone who has two of the highest individual honors you could potentially win in the sport of hockey.
Right.
And yet in both efforts, his team did not win.
To me, like, I would say the story's not done writing. So up until now, like, he's obviously one of the best players ever. He holds all these records, awards, top to bottom. But if he goes without a Stanley Cup, it's just going to be like, what if? Like, what if you won a Stanley Cup? Like, there will always be something holding him back from a pure talent perspective. We say this about quarterbacks. We say this about different players across the board. Like, a pure talent perspective, he's arguably the greatest player ever. But he doesn't have the accomplishments and the accolades, and he's never going to have 6 Stanley Cups. He may get 1, he may get 2. I would like to see him. It's like Trout. It's like he's one of the greatest baseball players ever. He's never going to win.
My thing is with McDavid, and I'm not trying to hold you to the name you just threw out there, but I think it's a fine one. Connor McDavid is so much more accomplished than Mike Trout.
Oh, yeah.
In the postseason.
Oh,
Connor McDavid is a decorated playoff performer. Like, that's what is very, I think, tricky, Tom, to deal with when we talk about, we all accept one of the all-time greats. And I think we all accept has greatest of all time talent. We look at the postseason success and it gives pause, but the postseason, he's not James Harden, right? He's actually an elite postseason performer, is he not?
I mean, he is. He won the Conn Smythe despite a losing effort in the postseason against the Panthers. So, like, he's done everything except he's a Conn Smythe. He's going to the Hart. He could end up winning a Rocket Shard one day, whatever it might be. He's done everything except win a Stanley Cup. So, like I said, the story's not done for him. I fully believe he will be, or if not the greatest player ever, but he just may not have a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting, I think, because you talk about active athletes across all sports, and you say, who's the best athlete in the world? And I do not mean athleticism, okay? I'm saying, in the same way I say who's the best basketball player, right? And most people would say Jokic. I'm saying who's the number one athlete. And I tend to believe the answer is Ohtani, right?
I would say the same.
Because it's every box is being checked, but I mean, truly, like, I think McDavid was one of these cup wins away from being the answer. And who knows, with the way people clearly value, Tom, Olympic hockey, maybe a gold medal here could have been enough for. I mean, McDavid, if I'm not mistaken, Tom, he did win the the winning goal in the Four Nations was Connor McDavid, correct?
It was in overtime, but people view that as more as of an exhibition rather than a pure tournament.
But they weren't playing exhibition level effort. We all know that.
No, we know that. But just be like, I don't think anyone's going to hold a Four Nations gold. I would say some people would probably put a World Juniors gold ahead of a Four Nations gold. Like if he had a multiple World Junior golds and they would put that ahead of Four Nations, they would still put the Stanley Cup ahead of the Olympic gold. Like there's so many different things. Like Henrik Lundqvist is my favorite Ranger of all time. He won an Olympic gold, but never won a Stanley Cup. So we could say that he has countless records in the playoffs, shutouts in Game 7 through the roof, all these Ranger records, all these NHL records where you're tying or exceeding Marty Brodeur, but he's never won a Stanley Cup. So it's like the same thing. Like he's going to have all these records McDavid is, but he has to win a Stanley Cup still.
And again, I think that there is something to be said. Like he has to win a Stanley Cup to probably be considered in the air that he should be considered in, right?
Correct.
But I saw some people kind of like, see, man, like this is the thing with McDavid, or oh, now like you understand what Oilers fans go through, and I'm like, oh boy, I don't really think the story here is Connor McDavid failed. I right, like Tom, like what's the story from the Canadian side of this result?
I think it's just they got beat. Like it's just as simple as that. They got beat. They got beat by Hellebuck and Net, and that's what it really comes down to. And people are going to say, Binnington wasn't amazing. There were some mistakes, on that 5-on-3 that they didn't convert the goals, all those things, but they just got beat. That's just what it comes to. They were a great team, and they got beat by a great team. It's really that simple. It's not like we're dealing with some massive chasm between the two teams and the differential that caused the outcome. We're dealing with the thinnest margins, where the 5-on-3 didn't come through. Hellebuck was unbelievable. He's the reigning Vezina winner and the Hart winner. He won an MVP, which is something a goalie hasn't done in a decade. And they just got beat by an awesome team and an awesome player in Net. It's that simple. I think people want to continue to say that they dominated the 5-on-5 play, which is true. But, the circumstances are it's a 3-on-3 in overtime, and that's what caused USA to win. And I don't care.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think it would be silly to suggest, based on the way that the game went, that the U.S. couldn't have won the 5-on-5 overtime period. I don't think there's anything that suggests that. And I don't think if they played the game tomorrow, anything other than Canada would be the favorite. But right. USA won the game, and it was a moment, and I'm curious if it brings more to the day-to-day of the sport. I think that's interesting always to see, but time will tell. The NHL will be back in a bit. Tom will be back next segment. We'll talk some NBA, NFL on the other side.
George Rutschman is an interesting one here. I mean, this was somebody that we were told was going to be a superstar. I feel like we've done this now with back-to-back young catchers on Baltimore that they've taken. They've taken Matt Wieters. Remember when they took him super high and everyone thought he was the second coming? Then they took Adley Rutschman. I guess the good news is they have Sam Basallo, who's supposed to be fantastic too, but can't whiff on three like that, can you?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Last year, bumped up 10% for the season tickets here. The Bears this year going up by 13.5%. When is too much where it just comes like, I'm just going to sit at home on my couch and not be charged anything and enjoy my day, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll see it because there'll be a lot of empty seats in that stadium, Donnie, and then you'll know when the line has been drawn.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Well, I actually, and I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you here on SportsGrid. We're joined by Tom Vecchio on this Tuesday night. Coach James Young right around the corner. Tomorrow we bring the NHL back into the fold, which will certainly be, I think, exciting just to see what the buzz looks like coming off of Olympic gold. But tonight we've got some NBA action. Tom, I know you're going to get in the mix here with this NBA slate on a Tuesday night. What do you like?
Let me just quickly touch on the NHL. Trade deadline is March 6th, next Friday. A lot of uncertainty. I'm taking things very slow coming out of the break. A lot of teams had players missing. It's a 3-week break. This is not like an all-star. Combined with the trade deadline, teams are likely going to be sitting a few players, so I'll be taking things slow with the NHL. As for the NBA tonight, Pacers, Sixers, under 234.5. I got that over on DK. It was 233 on FanDuel, taking the under. Frankly, this lineup for the Pacers, who have been a pretty heavy under team this season, it's just a non-competitive lineup. That's just what it comes down to. It's not a good lineup. I don't think trying to outscore Philly is their route to keeping this game close and or winning. They just don't have enough talent. I think Philly will win this game. I don't know if they cover, but I think the Pacers want to slow this game down because they know they cannot outscore Philly. If Philly gets up to 120 or 130, they win this game 100 times out of 100. Pacers don't win this game high scoring. They win it low scoring.
Yeah, this is one of the games, Tom, where I instinctively was a bit interested in Indiana. It's a big number. Philly's coming off this big win. Embiid's playing, so that's going to really drum up the number. But these teams that are happy to lose, man, are they good at it. I mean, this is a Pacers team who came out of the break at Washington, closed as a favorite in each game, and home against Dallas, favored again, and ripped off a very impressive 0-3. I mean, Pacers fans have not been that happy about a 3-game stretch since, point to your favorite postseason run, right? I mean, so them losing tonight's game by 40, truly, it wouldn't shock me. It would not shock me.
It wouldn't. I was also considering the Knicks-Cavs game, taking some points with the Knicks. Like the Cavs, they've been playing well, but it also hasn't been against the highest quality opponent.
Yep.
So I consider the Knicks +4. Still got a little bit to game time. I just didn't get there, or at least haven't gotten there yet.
I think it might be a sharp side, Tom. I was going to play Cleveland earlier at better numbers. I think this has moved a little bit here. I think what made Cleveland interesting to me is they laid 4.5 at Oklahoma City this weekend. And I think maybe the books were like, oh, we got a little ahead of ourselves. And now maybe they've shortened that a little too much. I used the Cavs as a money line piece with Minnesota at +120, which I know is something you're not scared to get involved with. Tom, while we have you, we've got some NFL news that's kind of coming out. One of the more surprising, I feel like not very anticipated pieces of news out of Denver is that Sean Payton is not going to be the play caller for the Broncos next year. They're saying it's going to be Davis Webb. This is kind of something that's just coming out here. My first thought is I don't love it. My second thought is Sean Payton's going to retire at the end of next season and Davis Webb's going to become the Broncos head coach, or within the next 2 years.
I don't like that. I don't like that thought. I don't like Webb calling plays. To me, the issue with Denver, as I've said constantly, is we need, or we as like a betting community, I want someone, a consistent second receiver in that offense. Courtland Sutton is amazing, but sometimes there's not a consistent second option. And, when they continuously mix in Dobbins and Harvey in the backfield, whether or not Dobbins is back, I need someone else in the passing game to be willing to trust that offense. So the point being, if we have a first-year play caller without a true second or third option, it feels like they're going to struggle out of the gate, and there could be some growing pains. And that's I'm hesitant. Obviously, Bo Nix coming back from the injury, I assume he'll be ready to go come August, September. But still, like there's an uneasy feeling I have right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. If I'm not mistaken, it says that Sean Payton's contract goes through the 2027 season.
Okay.
So it says it was a 5-year deal. This is where this stuff gets annoying. Does that mean that, let's just figure out how many years Sean Payton's been the coach of this team in Denver so far? 3 years? So yeah, 2 more. And then I think he gets out of there. That's my read on it. There's no other reason for Sean Payton to give up the thing that he's best at, right?
Maybe it's just they're going to see how the season starts and then he'll take it back at some point. But, I would say if Sean Payton re-ups, I'm not going to be surprised with Bo Nix being so young. Like, you want to at least try. Like, this is an incomplete season for them. Next year, if there's issues with play calling, that's also going to be an incomplete season. They need to put it together in the following years while Bo Nix is still on this rookie contract.
And maybe it's a move just to block Davis Webb from leaving to be an offensive coordinator somewhere else next year, right? Maybe they got very fortunate this year that didn't happen to them. But it's a very interesting spot, ultimately. The other piece of news, and I don't mean to this at some point will become a bigger story, Tom, but the Jets plan to keep Breece Hall.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's them just kind of like, no, like, we'll keep him, but they actually would love to trade him. I don't. I think they'd be better off letting him leave for nothing more so than paying Breece Hall any type of top dollar.
Like when I saw that, one of my immediate reactions was like, they kind of need to do that just because they need to have talent on the roster to at least like show the fans that they're at least trying. We know they're not trying, but at least need to pretend that they're trying. Because if they have no offensive options, what are they going to do? A quarterback? There's no running back. Garrett Wilson's awesome, but how long does he want to stay there, continue playing for this terrible team? Like they need to at least show that they have something to bring to the fans.
I guess my thought would be, we love, everyone loves the young offensive lineman. We know Garrett Wilson's a talent.
Yeah.
We'll see what they add in the draft, right? They have multiple picks in this first round. I don't disagree with you. They need talent. I just think keeping Breece Hall, who doesn't want to be there, it just feels foolish to me.
It
right?
does. Like,
it feels like there would be better ways to spend resources.
They should have traded him at the deadline and gotten something for him. And now then you could clean your hands of it and move on. Now 100%. They have to throw the franchise tag at him, find a backup running back to replace him because they're going to end up trading him again, or try to trade him again, and then spend more draft assets, whatever it might be. It was a wrong decision to not trade him.
Totally agree. Swing and a miss by the New York Jets. And yet, their GM is the gift of football, people believe. Tom, great as always, man. We've got Coach James Young next year on SportsGrid.
George Rutschman is an interesting one here. I mean, this was somebody that we were told was going to be a superstar. I feel like we've done this now with back-to-back young catchers on Baltimore that they've taken. They've taken Matt Wieters. Remember when they took him super high and everyone thought he was the second coming? Then they took Adley Rutschman. I guess the good news is they have Sam Basallo, who's supposed to be fantastic too, but can't whiff on 3 like that, can you?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Last year, bumped up 10% for the season tickets here. The Bears this year going up by 13.5%. When is too much where it just comes like, I'm just going to sit at home on my couch and not be charged anything and enjoy my day, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll see it because there'll be a lot of empty seats in that stadium, Donnie, and then you'll know when the line has been drawn.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Well, I actually, and I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. Coach James Young in the mix with us here on a Tuesday night. My co-host on college basketball today, where we have for the second weekend in a row threaded the needle in a Houston basketball game. JY, though, the Cougars last night, man, dropped a third in a row. Certainly something that you and I will get into. We got quite a few college games and some NBA on our plate tonight.
Yes, we do. And college is up right up the top, so I'm not going to waste any time. And let's get right down to business. Kevin, I have been riding this like under team total train where I see matchups that I think kind of work in their favor. So let's go to the number one team in the country, Duke, who go to Notre Dame, and you're figuring like, big time win, go on the road. You're worried. I think not. The total is 60.5. Kevin, I'm going under. I'm going under 60.5. If you look at Notre Dame's splits in the ACC in regards to their offensive splits, right? 13th in offensive efficiency, 13th in effective field goal percentage offense, 12th in turnovers. Duke is 1, 2, and 1, and 297th in pace of play. So even when they're number one in the ACC getting steals, they're not necessarily running the ball up the floor. I like Notre Dame to go under 60.5 tonight.
I initially was going to play the under just overall in that game. Duke had been playing a ton of unders. We saw that rocket ship over against Cuse. They played another one this weekend against Michigan. Ultimately backed away. I'm wondering if I didn't have a great feel. You'll notice I'm not playing the Michigan game tonight either. I don't know what I want to do with those teams off of what was an incredibly emotional game. Some of those numbers are moving towards the dogs. I think people may be trying to sell high off of just the spot that was, which is understandable. And I totally understand where JY is coming from. And JY, not the only team total on your card tonight, right?
Yeah, it's a theme. The other one, I'm taking Cincinnati team total. It was at 68.5. I think it's down to 67.5, folks. Do shop around. Cincinnati's in the bottom half of the Big 12 in just about every offensive category that you think of. Efficiency, effective field goal percentage, and most of their shooting splits. Well, then they go against the Texas Tech team that's top 5 in all those metrics. I'm throwing out that huge game, the 172 win they have over the weekend, because Kansas State's just a mess defensively. They just want to get into a track meet. We saw that, how you kind of cashed in with that Kansas State bet versus Houston 2 weekends ago. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that Texas Tech, it's going to have to play a little bit of a different way with JT Toppin, maybe a little more half-court, slow the game down, bring it up the floor. I like Cincinnati to go under 68, 67.5 points, depending on where you get it.
I hear you. I played Cincinnati tonight plus the 6.5. Maybe we can, that needle. Again, our guy Sam Y, though, JY, actually loves himself some Texas Tech tonight. Just trying to fade Tech a little bit off of, trying to fade Cincinnati off that big win over Kansas, which, look, it was very, very impressive. It happens. We learned yesterday, though, JY, right? The sky isn't falling in Lawrence. That was a great win that they got yesterday. Nobody's beaten Houston like that yet this season. They did it on Monday night.
Yeah, they did it. They did it the way Houston does it to most teams. That's locked them down defensively. But Kevin, is it time? And I'm the biggest Houston backer on this network. Is it time to start to hit the panic meter with the Houston Cougars? They lost 3 games in a row. Milos Uzan is not shooting the way he did last year. Emmanuel Sharp's been up and down. And we talked about it over the weekend, and I'm going to keep saying it. Joseph Tugler's got to stay out of foul trouble. It's every game. It's 2 fouls in the first 4 or 5 minutes, and it's different. That is the thing that people keep forgetting about Roberts. He did not get into foul trouble. He was a defensive anchor, and he was the leader. If Joseph Tugler continues to get himself into foul trouble, ready, folks? I love Houston. They don't have the depth. Miller comes off the bench. That's it. So him, and it's funny, earlier in the year, Kevin, Kelvin Sampson was worried about Kingston Fleming's and Chris Sinak's defense. Now you need to worry about the experience guys. Houston's got to get their act together in the Big 12 and get their act together quick.
It's a weird one, right? Because if they just beat Arizona in the middle of these 2 losses, I don't think Coach would sound the way he does. But the 3 straight losses now, it puts them in a weird spot. We'll talk some more about your college slate, your NBA slate, game time decisions. We'll be right back.
George Rutschman is an interesting one here. I mean, this was somebody that we were told was going to be a superstar. I feel like we've done this now with back-to-back young catchers on Baltimore that they've taken. They've taken Matt Wieters. Remember when they took him super high and everyone thought he was the second coming? Then they took Adley Rutschman. I guess the good news is they have Sam Basallo, who's supposed to be fantastic too, but can't whiff on 3 like that, can you?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Last year, bumped up 10% for the season tickets here. The Bears this year going up by 13.5%. When is too much where it just comes like, I'm just going to sit at home on my couch and not be charged anything and enjoy my day, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll see it because there'll be a lot of empty seats in that stadium, Donnie, and then you'll know when the line has been drawn.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decision, 7 o'clock college basketball slate. Give me Cincinnati plus the 6.5 and NC State at that same price here. One is at Virginia, one is at Texas Tech. The Texas Tech-Cincinnati game featured in our best bet segment tonight with Sam on the other side. Got to respect it. Didn't see it coming. We did a little bit of team research. First time he is playing in a ranked college game since December. Don't ask how it went. But he's on Texas Tech in this spot. We're joined by my college basketball today co-host, Coach James Young, who is playing with a couple of these 7 o'clock games, including a Cincinnati team total under against Texas Tech, and then a Notre Dame team total under with their matchup coming up here against the new #1 Duke Blue Devils. Coach, I want to ask you about Duke, Michigan, a game that you and I broke down, and we're honest when we lose. Hopefully that then gives us the grace to talk about when we win. We both did well in. With me being on Duke, you really liked the under. I saw someone say it looked like an all-star game broke out for the first 10 minutes, and then the whole thing started to slow down. Coach, what was your biggest takeaway from Duke's 68-63 win over the Wolverines on Saturday in D.C.?
Duke's the best defensive team in the country. They're the best defensive team in the country. And they could just I'm going to be honest with you folks. When John Shire got the job at Duke, I was kind of like, all right, we're just passing it towards giving it to a Duke guy. I got to give this guy utmost respect. Kevin, they defend at a scary high level. And it doesn't matter if you're a freshman, if you're a transfer, or you're a senior. They dig in, they fly around, and it is saying to me, even after this matchup, that these are still the two best. These are now, no disrespect to Arizona, maybe they're that third team. I think these are the two best teams in the country. And if we can get this in the first Monday of April, sign me up right now. Sign me up right now, because you'll get basketball in its purest form. You'll get half-court basketball, and it will come down to execution, and it will come down to the final minutes. And if we can get that in April, sign me up.
I love the game. It felt important. It's very interesting. There's been some, we need more out-of-conference, February games. Sure, but, the draw to Duke, Michigan isn't that it was out of conference. It was that they were the 1 and 2 in the country. that was you know what we should do? Every year, who's ever 1 and 2 heading into late February has to play each other out of nowhere. That's, you know what I mean? That was the draw. I think, and we talked about this on the Saturday show, Coach, what I think Duke did was stop this Michigan runaway train. And it felt like they were about to just run out and be on their own tier. I think Duke could be beat before the Final Four, but I think now we can sit here and say to ourselves, so could Michigan. Now, maybe not before the Elite Eight, right? But we wanted to know, how open could this field be? And I think Duke opened things more. Now, maybe Coach thinks, maybe others think, no, okay, now it's just a two-team race. No, I think Arizona showed themselves well. I mean, Illinois, offensive rating on KenPom, the gap between Illinois and Duke is the gap between, I think, Duke and Belmont in offensive efficiency, right? Illinois can score with the absolute best of them. You guys know I like this Iowa State team. I still think the Gators are coming on. I think we have ourselves, JY, look, there's not 16 contenders, but the national championship race isn't open and shut. The other thing I will just say, some confirmation bias maybe, Michigan at the guard spot is vulnerable. Yaxel Lendenborg is not a plus on-ball guy, right? He's not going to bring it up and run your offense the way Dybonsa is for BYU. And Elliot Cadeau got his card pulled, right? He saw Duke, and I mean, we saw what it was, JY. Elliot Cadeau isn't one of the 25 best point guards in college basketball.
No, and I think that was the thing, is that he was going to be put to the test. I'm gonna say a couple of things really quick. Just bouncing back to what you were talking about with teams. Folks, you may think I'm crazy, but I got a feeling, and I watched them. I know it was Indiana. Purdue looked really good Friday night. I don't think we had a chance to talk about it. They looked scary good. So there's them with that experience. And I wouldn't discount Purdue, Kevin, because you know what happens. In the tournament, the game slows down. And they are a half-court team with an experienced backcourt and a really dynamite big and Kaufman Red. They cannot be discounted as well. My only fear with Duke is through the ACC tournament, who's going to challenge them? If Carolina's got no Wilson in that second matchup, because you know how they always end the regular season, I'm concerned that could they not have enough like tests within the ACC and the ACC tournament. You know Michigan's going to get tested in the Big Ten tournament, whether it's Purdue or it's Nebraska or Michigan State or Illinois, right? I mean, they're all get challenged. We know the Big 12 guys are going to challenge each other. You know, UConn and St. John's are going to run into each other. I think it's tomorrow they play those two, and then they're going to play again probably in the Big East tournament. My only concern is, could Duke just run away with the ACC where they don't get challenged? That's my only thing I'm holding my head on, but I still think they defend at a high level, so they should be able to bring it night in, night out.
Yeah, what I would push back, JY, just to alleviate those concerns, is that's why they played the Michigan game, right? Is to get themselves into kind of that mindset. And I mean, they came out fantastic for it. So I thought that was a lot of fun.
I would say this really quick. I am one of those coaches. I'm on the women's side. Everybody knows this. So I used to see the UConn Tennessee games in February. We saw last year, you know, UConn go to South Carolina, AZ Foot go nuclear, and that's what propelled them.
Yeah.
Kevin made a great point. If you're a team that may not get challenged much in the regular season, get one of these games in February. Mark Few, I'm talking to you.
I knew it.
Gonzaga should be a team that should be looking to do this every year because they don't get challenged enough in the WCC.
Are they joining the Big 12 soon, though, or something? Or the Pac-12, maybe?
There's been talk about that. There's been
I think there's something.
Them going to the Big East because they don't have football. So there's always something, but they need to be challenged with a February tilt because that is a team right now, Kevin, that's kind of lying in the weeds. And for me, it's hard for me to really back them in the tournament because they don't have the level of competition. They need a good matchup versus a good team, non-conference. I'll take Gonzaga Duke next year. I'll take Gonzaga Michigan State. Give me two powerhouse programs in play.
Yeah. To be fair to Gonzaga, and I know Coach thinks this, that's why Gonzaga loads up in the out-of-conference, right?
Early.
But maybe we are going to enter this new stage where we go, you know what, I want another February thing. Gonzaga's out of the public eye for 3 months, right, until the tournament begins. One other thing I'll say, because Coach and I are going to get into the NBA after this segment, we're going to go through his NBA card. A game that Coach and I took some time to text one another about over the weekend, where the result was like, and I already mentioned it tonight, I was dead wrong about the game. St. John's saw an opportunity to make a statement at Creighton's expense, and they made a statement. That was something. We'll be right back here with Coach after the break.
George Rutschman is an interesting one here. I mean, this was somebody that we were told was going to be a superstar. I feel like we've done this now with back-to-back young catchers on Baltimore that they've taken. They've taken Matt Wieters. Remember when they took him super high and everyone thought he was the second coming? Then they took Adley Rutschman. I guess the good news is they have Sam Basalo, who's supposed to be fantastic too, but can't whiff on three like that, can you?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Last year, bumped up 10% for the season tickets here. The Bears this year going up by 13.5%. When is too much where it just comes like, I'm just going to sit at home on my couch and not be charged anything and enjoy my day, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll see it because there'll be a lot of empty seats in that stadium, Donnie, and then you'll know when the line has been drawn
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Well, I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions on a Tuesday night, joined by Coach James Young. Not only college basketball today, but of course JY handling pro basketball today. And Coach, on the NBA board tonight, there are a couple of interesting spots. One game that I know you happen to be circling up is Hawks Wizards. What jumps out to you for this game?
Oh man, JY, this is his delight. I'm all over this. How about a little parlay action for you in this big matchup? Knowing JY, half these guys are probably hurt and not even playing tonight. But I'm going to start with the Wizards. Bob Carrington, Sammy Arnold's favorite player, over 3.5 assists over 7 last 10 games, 5 straight versus Atlanta. Although you think of Dicey Daniels as being great defensively, they're still bottom 5 in assists per game to point guards. Give me Bob Carrington over 3.5 assists. I'm going with the two big men. I'm going to go with Onyeka Okongwu over 14.5 points, over 6 in the last 10. Missed the last 2. He missed by 2 points or less. Wizards are bottom 3 and points per game to centers. Remember, no Alex Sarr. The starting lineup last game for the Wizards, if I'm not mistaken, tallest guy was 6'7". My kids will make fun of me if I do it, so hopefully no one sees it. I look at Onyeka Okongwu and the fact that the top 8 ways he scores, 6 of them. Washington, bottom 10 defending it. So then, where am I going with rebounds? I'm going to go to this backup. Jacques Landale, over 5.5 rebounds, 4 out of the last 5. Rugged rebounder, Wizards team, doesn't rebound well. No Alex Sarr. Maybe extend the minutes because it could be a blowout. Jacques Landale, over 5.5 rebounds tonight.
All right, JY, Bulls Hornets here, a Charlotte team who, despite being 1-2 straight up since the All-Star break, are a delightful 3-0. As a 4.5-point dog to Houston, they lost by 4, and a 5.5-point dog to Cleveland, they lost by 5. They are now back into the favorite status against Washington. Handled business with a 17-point win against Chicago tonight. They're an 8.5-point favorite. You're not as concerned as much with a side in this game, but looking at one of the two very strong Rookie of the Year candidates.
Yeah, I'm looking at Colin Knueppel over 18.5 points, Kevin. Over 4 of the last 6 games. Listen, 1 out of 3 versus Chicago. I think one game he had over 30. One of the games he missed by the hook. Bulls not strong defensively. Bottom 10 in points per game to shooting guards. Top 2 ways he scores. Bulls don't defend well. Colin Knueppel, look for him to get 20 plus. Colin Knueppel over 18.5 points tonight.
I've talked a lot about betting Colin Knueppel in the Rookie of the Year race. If you played the 5-1s, then you've got yourself a really good number. Some books are at 3-1, some are at plus 250. I ultimately never pulled the trigger, and at this point now I don't want to. Cooper Flagg is not back tonight. It gives him 9 games to play with in terms of the Rookie of the Year race. I'm starting to believe that Cooper is going to make sure he plays the minimum. Now, again, I've said Con could potentially beat him out on merit, but we are now at a point with that number that I'm ultimately holding off. I have an MVP award take that maybe we'll talk about in the next segment here because I want to make sure that we go through Coach's card. It relates to your 65-game minimum, and I don't think it's probably going where a lot of people would anticipate, so we'll get to that actually in a moment here. Because, JY, there are a couple of sides that you like coming up later on in this NBA slate tonight. Something in Phoenix, Boston, and then something a little bit later on in Portland, Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm laying the points with both teams on the road. First with the Celtics, minus 6.5 at the Suns. Celtics are 3-0 against the spread. Really impressive win that they had over the Lakers. And no, I'm not selling now it's 5. that Jaylen Brown is the best two-way player in the world. We can please put that to bed. Love him, but no, I'm not going there. But the Celtics have covered and won the last 4 matchups. Well, who is playing for Phoenix tonight? Well, let's go through the injury report at 7 o'clock. Oh, let's see. Devin Booker out. Cole Anthony out. Dylan Brooks out. Haywood Highsmith just got signed out. Who's scoring for this team? I'm going to lay the 6.5 points to the Celtics on the road at the Suns.
And then Minnesota, Portland, JY. Talk to me on that breakdown.
Yeah, they just played 2 weeks ago. They won by 24 points. You know, Timberwolves are I look at the fact that they're a team that I think people don't talk enough about in the Western Conference. I still think they can make a run. I think getting DeSumo was a stroke of genius as a secondary ball handler and someone that's a really top flight defender in the perimeter position. But you're going to get the team in Portland that's got injury concerns and guys are out tonight. So I look at that matchup. I'm going to lay the 6.5 points with the Timberwolves on the road to get the win in the cover.
All right, JY, last one for you on the NBA. It's Jalen Suggs up against the LA Lakers. I like a Lakers team total in this game. This is not a thread the needle situation here. I think we both can kind of work in unison here. A little up and down basketball game tonight.
Yeah, you said it best. Up and down basketball. Jalen Suggs over 5.5 assists, over 7 of his last 8 games. Lakers are last in assists per game to point guards. Listen, Luka scores. Luka don't play a lot of defense. So those driving lanes, you have to help out, spray the ball out, kick outs, over 5 assists. 92% hit rate opponents have had, point guards have had on the Lakers the last 10 in assists per game. So give me Jalen Suggs over 5.5 assists tonight.
All right, JY, before we let you get out of here, I skipped over one of your college plays. And it's in the ACC. It's some non-ranked action tonight. But it's a Miami team who I think really showed themselves admirably on the road against Virginia. They play not a soft opponent here in Florida State. Can be tricky, but what do you see in this game tonight?
Yeah, this is a tight game. I'm going with Miami on the money line. When you look at these teams, both teams playing well. Miami 6-2 the last 8. Florida State 6-1. But if you look at the offensive defensive metrics according to Ken Pom, Miami has an advantage. And one of the key things they have is they rebound the ball and they free throw attempts to field goal attempt percentage, they have higher, which means they'll rebound, they'll get to the foul line. That's enough for me. Plus the fact that Florida State won the matchup in Miami, Miami returns a favor. They win on the road tonight.
All right, some great stuff there from Coach James Young. One thing that JY and I did not get into tonight, but we probably will maybe tomorrow and this weekend, the odds to be the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft are actually out and available, with Kansas's Darren Peterson right now being the favorite. We may get into that a little bit more and the NBA's MVP pricing after the break. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Obviously, I wanted to play golf. Like, I grew up in England. I came to America on a scholarship because my aspiration was to play the European Tour. And then once I got to America, it was like the PGA Tour. And I think I'd always had kind of this affinity for, like, the swing and coaching and teaching, and tinkering is probably the best way to say it. I'd say that's probably, which is a dangerous road to go, right?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Lewis's defense, the best in conference play, which includes the best 3-point shooting percentage against and also 2-point shooting percentage against. You take a look at Loyola's offense, we pointed out to you the worst in conference play, and also they turn the basketball over 22% of the time, which basically means 1 out of every 4 times up the court, Joe, they don't even get a shot off. They're going to get their doors blown off tonight.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers. But every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
The level of hockey is being played. Like, if you're not really into the NHL, you should watch this and you will enjoy it. Like, it's a different level of hockey. Like, the NHL, basically, there's like 6 really good guys on each team. And in the Olympics, like, every guy is good. Like, it's next level. It's something to behold.
Winter Games Central. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions with you on a Tuesday night. And I mentioned the NBA's MVP award with Coach, and we mentioned it's one of the big storylines to keep your eyes on in the second half of the NBA season. One of the recent, some of the recent buzz we saw was around Cade Cunningham and how, due to the minutes or the game's requirement, Cade was going to be in position to win a league MVP. Cade then went 5 for 26 from the floor against San Antonio, and people were like, come on, that's crazy. My take, though, is not much about Cade's performance or Wemby on the other side, because I spent a lot of time thinking about Knipple versus Cooper, and after days upon days, I'm starting to think Cooper is going to make sure he meets the minimum. The idea around this minimum, it was going to push the best in the world to make sure they hit that number, right? And it was a very foolish idea that was bad on day one. Said it day one. Right on day one. I'm right now. However, I'm starting to think that Nikola Jokic is going to meet the minimum, because despite what everybody wants you to believe, that Nikola Jokic doesn't care, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. Not meeting the minimum doesn't only disqualify you from MVP. It disqualifies you from all NBA, of which Nikola Jokic would be unanimous first team as long as he plays 65 games. Right now, Denver has played 58 games on the year. Jokic has played 42. That means he can miss one more game. Here's the thing, though. I don't think Jokic is going to miss any more games unless he gets hurt again, because I have no reason to think Jokic is going to miss time. Jokic came back from injury on January 30th and played 25 minutes. The next game back, he played 29. And then he played at Detroit, at New York back-to-back, in which he played 33 minutes against the Pistons and followed that up with 45 minutes in double overtime against the New York Knicks. I don't think Jokic is going to miss another game. So here is now the spot we find ourselves in. If I tell you Jokic is going to play 65, again, that would put him at 66, but let's just call it 65 to say, hey, he meets the requirement. Does it matter what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does? I'm not sure right now. Being honest with you, I've not bet the Jokic number yet. I don't necessarily think there's a huge rush to do it anyway. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has lost a lot of the games played gap that was going to make this a foregone conclusion. It wasn't one of the things that was working in Shea's advantage is not just, oh, Jokic may not meet the minimum, but Shea might play 10, 12, 13 games more than Joker. SGA has played 49 of 58 games for Oklahoma City, and we don't know yet when Shea will be back. My understanding is the earliest timeline, incredibly, would be a Friday night home game against Joker. And maybe, if that's when Shea returns and OKC obliterates the Nuggets, and that's all she wrote, and it's Shea's award. Or Shea's not even back for that game. And both of the two MVP candidates play under 70. And at that point, it's a numbers off. And you don't really want to get in a numbers off with Nikola Jokic. I think Joker plays 65. And I don't think the market really thinks he'll play 65. There's going to be some opportunity there. We just got to take our time and figure it out. We'll be right back. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Obviously, I wanted to play golf. Like, I grew up in England. I came to America on a scholarship because my aspiration was to play the European Tour. And then once I got to America, it was like the PGA Tour. And I think I'd always had kind of this affinity for, like, the swing and coaching and teaching, and tinkering is probably the best way to say it. That's probably, which is a dangerous road to go, right?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Lewis's defense, the best in conference play, which includes the best three-point shooting percentage against and also two-point shooting percentage against. You take a look at Loyola's offense, we pointed out to you the worst in conference play, and also they turn the basket over 22% of the time, which basically means 1 out of every 4 times up the court, Joe, they don't even get a shot off. They're going to get their doors blown off tonight.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
The level of hockey is being played. Like, if you're not really into the NHL, you should watch this and you will enjoy it. Like, it's a different level of hockey. Like, the NHL, basically, there's like 6 really good guys on each team. And in the Olympics, like, every guy is good. Like, it's next level. It's something to behold.
Winter Games Central, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid. It is that time of the week again where we bring in Brady Cannon to talk about the PGA Tour, which has provided us just a delightful, delightful start to this season. Brady, we appreciate you, as always, making some time on a Tuesday.
Oh, you bet, my friend. On to Florida, huh? What a West Coast swing it was. You know, I mean, it's hard to say Jacob Bridgman was a letdown, but we had some real star power. You know, Chris Goddard up twice, Scotty Scheffler, of course, Rory McIlroy, Adam Scott was back in the mix at Riviera, but Bridgman spoiled the party, just played a conservative final round. Boy, almost blew it on the last hole. Had a 20-foot putt, had 2 putts to get the win from 20 feet, left it about 3.5 feet short. I was like, oh, don't do this. Thankfully, he made the 3.5 footer to win the tournament. But now we head out your way, down south a little bit. And, no more Poa annua grass greens and Pacific coastlines. It's on to Bermuda grass and palm trees and maybe a little wind here in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida.
Before we get to Florida, there are a couple of items I'd like to dive into, though, from the Genesis. And we'll start with an upset in that I'm not going to start with Scotty, but it's right around the corner, as everybody would expect. And I'll start with Rory. And I'm certainly not going to crush anybody who finishes a shot off a victory, a T2. It's a really, 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 really good result. But Rory, we hold to a different standard, and I think that's okay, Brady. So what is your takeaway from Rory ultimately not winning this tournament where he was by far the biggest fish in the pond of guys swimming at the top of that board?
Well, a couple things. First of all, his putter really went south on Sunday in the final round, which, is understandable. We've talked about that before. When you're so hot with the putter for 2 or 3 days, it's not uncommon for the shine to wear off a little bit, on that 4th day. It's hard to maintain, multiple rounds of really good putting time and time again, day after day. So, you can say, did he choke with the putter? No, I mean, it's just kind of the law of averages, right? But the other thing too, Jacob Bridgman, to his credit, had built a 6-shot lead heading into the final round, even led by 7 at a couple different points, during the final round. Now, he played it conservatively, almost ended up costing him. Would it have been different? Would he have put his foot on the gas pedal a little more if Rory was putting better and was chasing him? Maybe. But, the kid did what he had to do. He had pretty much an insurmountable lead, and it turned out it was. So I don't really, I credit Bridgman, don't really blame Rory. Rory has never really played great at this tournament before. Mm-hmm. It was set up to really cater to his game. His game is bombing it off the tee. He's probably the best driver of the golf ball in the world. And you had a soft Riviera golf course where his power could, keep him in the fairway and carry it further than just about anybody else in the field. And then with the receptive greens and what have you, he could stick it in there. He did all that. But again, the kid really just beat him. I don't think Rory lost it by any means.
Okay, now we get to Scotty. Brady, I don't know. I actually can't believe it happened again. Now, it didn't happen to the same degree, right? But he was out of it. He was plus money for a top 20. He didn't quite get into the top 10, but one of the things that I know you and I agree on is when he's in contention, it's very scary for everyone to feel like they have to hold off Scotty Scheffler. And this tournament, he was not in contention. There were others where he gave them these leads and then he got back, right? And it's giving everybody, I think, a bit of a deep breath, right? That Mr. Inevitable isn't inevitable. Now, he keeps ripping off the top 20s and everything, but how do we wrap our heads around Scotty Scheffler, round 1 leader, essentially being the worst bet you can make in golf right now? And I say that because I made it last week. What is going on here with this guy?
Boy, I don't know. He just hasn't been really playing that well, and it's hard to say because now he obviously played well. What was it? The American Express when he won, and then he followed that up with a couple of top 5 finishes at Phoenix, and just got off to bad starts at Phoenix and Pebble. But then it wasn't necessarily just a bad start at Riviera. He really wasn't that great. Came around a little bit on Saturday, had a nice round on Sunday. But he just really hasn't fired on all cylinders. And I think even the victory at the American Express, those are easy golf courses. Riviera is not easy. Pebble Beach is not necessarily easy. Phoenix is not easy. those are more difficult tests. Torrey Pines, now he didn't play there, but the American Express is probably not only one of the easiest tournaments on the West Coast swing, but one of the easiest golf courses or sets of golf courses that they play throughout the entire calendar year. So maybe his game or his weaknesses that, or his, shortcomings that he's experienced right now weren't really, exposed on those golf courses in La Quinta. So, what do we do going forward? I think it's going to be very telling what happens the next 2 weeks, actually. Bay Hill and the Players' Championship. This week, we're, of course, at the Cognizant Classic, formerly the Honda Classic, PGA National, and it really gets a bad shake as far as placement on the calendar. You come off of 2 straight signature events at Pebble and Riviera, and now we go into 2 straight signature events with the Arnold Palmer and the Players' Championship the next 2 weeks. And stuck in the middle is the Cognizant. So it's completely understandable that all the big guys are taking the week off because, that's 4 rounds of golf or 4 tournaments they're going to be playing in 5 weeks here. So we don't have quite the field here, but next week and the following week, we're going to see Scotty for 2 weeks in a row at tournaments he has won. Bay Hill multiple times. He's won twice. So I think that's going to, if he struggles again, then what do we do? Do we see his price increase? Do we see his price finally drift at the Masters? Does he get to bigger than 4-1? Do people start pushing the panic button on Scotty Scheffler? I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see, I think, what he does the next couple of weeks, Kevin. He's never been, I don't think his strength has ever been on the West Coast swing anyway, except for Phoenix, where he's won twice, but never Riviera, never Pebble, never Torrey Pines, So now we'll see what happens. Will the real Scotty show up here in Florida?
Would you say, Brady, because then we're gonna get into the COG after this segment. It's very curious, the idea of actually like, ooh, that's a different Scotty number. At Arnold Palmer, though, right now, do you think it's more likely we get 3-1 or 4-1? I don't think we'll get 5, unless you think we do. But do you think we're still with the plus 300?
Yeah, I would say plus 350 maybe, because he's won here twice. If he'd never won here before, maybe, but he's won here twice. I mean, he's only played the event maybe 5 times, if not less. And he's won 40% of the time or whatever that he's teed it up at this place. That's pretty strong. Obviously, it'll be a strong field. All the big boys will be here. Rory's won here before. Russell Henley, your defending champion. But I don't think we're going to be at 4 yet, Kevin. Maybe for the Players, maybe because the Players is even more difficult.
Right.
So we'll see.
I'm very curious. I'm curious as well what they do with the round 1 score price. Like maybe they do nothing, right, ultimately. But Scotty Scheffler is right now. It's very funny. There was a time where the conversation around Scotty wasn't interesting, right? Like he was kind of boring and he just won. And then he got arrested and then he won every tournament. Like I'm just right. And like he is fascinating now in a different way, but really, really interesting, man. We're going to get right back into the golf with Brady Cannon on the other side on SportsGrid.
George Rutschman is an interesting one here. I mean, this was somebody that we were told was going to be a superstar. I feel like we've done this now with back-to-back young catchers on Baltimore that they've taken. They've taken Matt Wieters. Remember when they took him super high and everyone thought he was the second coming? Then they took Adley Rutschman. I guess the good news is they have Sam Basallo, who's supposed to be fantastic too, but can't whiff on 3 like that, can you?
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Last year, bumped up 10% for the season tickets here. The Bears this year going up by 13.5%. When is too much where it just comes like, I'm just going to sit at home on my couch and not be charged anything and enjoy my day, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll see it because there'll be a lot of empty seats in that stadium, Donnie, and then you'll know when the line has been drawn.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions here on SportsGrid. We're joined by Brady Cannon, talking a little PGA Tour on a Tuesday, as we like to get set for these tournaments here. And I think that this tournament, more than any of the others we've had, is confirmation that I personally have been tuned into the golf. Because usually I probably somewhat disrespectfully would be like, not much doing here at the top of the board. I know all these names. I feel like these have all kind of been interesting guys a little bit, right? Everybody's waiting for Thor to really break out. Ryan Gerard's had a really hot start to this season here, Brady. So for the Cognizant Classic, where does your card begin?
I went down the board. Shane Lowry has a tremendous track record here. Probably should have won it a few years back. Probably should have won it more than one time. He's really good on the Florida swing. Gerard, you mentioned, has had success here. Started the season out tremendously with 2 straight runner-up finishes. What I worry about Gerard and some of these other guys is, and especially Gerard, he's now, 16-1? I think maybe less than that in some spots. He is the favorite. I think there's a lot of shops out there that are dealing him at a lower price than Shane Lowry. This guy's gone from 30, 40, 50-1 long shot territory, all of a sudden expected to win the golf tournament. That is a huge change of roles for a young man who's only in his second year on tour. Now, he's really good, but this is a different situation. And I worry if he will be able to deliver when that spotlight is now, extra intense upon him. So I went down to some old mainstays here. Daniel Berger, I found at 40-1, finished runner-up here in his debut. He's finished 4th a couple of additional times. He's played here ever since he was a kid, went to Florida State. He's a Bermuda grass specialist, hits the ball low, hits it straight. He's kind of a quintessential Honda Classic, Cognizant, if you will, player. So I went with Daniel, and then I went with Aaron Rye. I think this golf course favors accuracy, Kevin, more than it does length. The fairways are relatively narrow. If you can have a good combination of length and accuracy off the tee, I think that really sets you up nicely around here. The greens are very large. You've got to be good at hole proximity. A lot of the iron shots around here are going to be from 150 yards or better, and a lot of them are going to be over water. You've got 15 holes where water is in play. That's the most of any course on tour. And we're supposed to have a little bit of wind, kind of in the neighborhood of 12, 13 miles an hour. But if you start to get gusts up to 18, 25, it's going to wreak some havoc. So I want guys that are really good ball strikers and really accurate. Daniel Berger, Aaron Rye, I got at 40-1. Mackenzie Hughes, now this is a little bit of a different profile. He's a short game specialist, not necessarily the quintessential ball striker, but he's done well at some of the core. It's interesting, talk about correlated courses. You look at the guys that have won at the Honda Classic or the Cognizant, many of them are also British Open champions. And I think that speaks to playing in the wind and being able to control your golf ball in the wind. And I think Mackenzie Hughes maybe has that in his bag. I got him at 62-1. Jordan Smith, relatively new to the PGA Tour, longtime European Tour player, an Englishman who is currently leading the PGA Tour right now in total driving. His ball striking is excellent. And he finished 16th recently in Phoenix. Got him at 60-1. And then Emiliano Grillo, who's done very well here in the past, has a top 10 finish here, has done very well on shorter Bermuda grass. And again, a quintessential ball striker type guy. Got him at 85-1. Was there one other one? I thought I had one more. Oh, Hao Tong Lee. Hao Tong Lee, like Jordan Smith, these guys finished high enough in the rankings on the DP World Tour that they were given PGA Tour cards for this season. And Hao Tong Lee's taken advantage of it. He had an 8th place finish at the American Express, 11th place finish at Torrey Pines, killing it with the ball striking, great in total driving, and also 19th on tour right now in scrambling. So I took a shot with Hao Tong Lee at 49-1. Kind of some random shots all over the board here. Probably Daniel Berger, the only really recognizable guy that we've seen have success here in the past. But I think when you have a field that is missing a lot of the marquee names, you got to kind of bounce around a little bit and take some stabs.
I want to ask you about one name, Brandon, before we let you get out of here. I'm sure you won't be surprised at who I'm referring to, where in a tournament like this, there is one guy who is significantly more famous than everybody else, and that's Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
And I imagine for your week-to-week players, right, who after they see your card and after Berger, like, not as familiar. I'm guessing, maybe I'm wrong, Brooks is going to be one of the bigger liabilities for bookmakers this week at this tournament. That's my guess. What do you think about Brooks here?
I think you're spot on. And I would love to see him win. I really would. He's not on my card, obviously. I don't know if he's ready to win just yet. This is his backyard. He lives right down the street, in the Palm Beach Gardens area. He knows this course very, very well. And I know some very sharp people that like him this week. So I'd love to see him. If he doesn't win, I'd love to see a top 10 finish. I'd love to see the buzz start to accelerate around Brooks Koepka as we sit roughly 40 days away, by the way, from Masters Week, right? So I'm rooting for this guy, man. I'd like to see him make a splash. I do believe he'll be a liability because he's probably the biggest name in the field, really, bigger than Shane Lowry. Everybody knows Koepka. And again, it is a kind of a home game for him. He's been there, done that before. I hope he does well, and I hope it starts to build where by the time we get to Augusta, we're starting to see, the Brooks Koepka that we remember, winning major championships and contending on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to follow. It's why we always talk to PGA Tour here with Brady. Brady, we appreciate it. Best of luck this week.
Hey, thank you, my friend. You too.
All right, great stuff. We are going to get you the remainder of the picks tonight, but also an update on the live board, where Duke right now is obviously beating Notre Dame. So is Cam Boozer. He alone, with 3 minutes left in the first half, is outscoring Notre Dame. Certainly something. We'll be right back, my oh my, on a Tuesday night.
George Rutschman is an interesting one here. I mean, this was somebody that we were told was going to be a superstar. I feel like we've done this now with back-to-back young catchers on Baltimore that they've taken. They've taken Matt Wieters. Remember when they took him super high and everyone thought he was the second coming? Then they took Adley Rutschman. I guess the good news is they have Sam Basallo, who's supposed to be fantastic too, but can't whiff on 3 like that, can you?
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Last year, bumped up 10% for the season tickets here. The Bears this year going up by 13.5%. When is too much where it just comes like, I'm just going to sit at home on my couch and not be charged anything and enjoy my day, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll see it because there'll be a lot of empty seats in that stadium, Donnie, and then you'll know when the line has been drawn.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, we are with you on Game Time Decisions, and Michael Porter Jr.'s got a 3 up on the board for us. Like to see that. Raptors and Cavs leading. You like to see that as well. But the real updates come to us from the college game. Cam Boozer has 20. Notre Dame has 16. I think pretty decidedly now Cam Boozer is going to have a halftime lead here on Notre Dame, it looks like. We'll see. Something we'll get more into maybe tomorrow and just throughout the whole process. But for the first time all year, we have seen a sportsbook post odds to go first overall, and Darren Peterson is the favorite. Okay. Dybons is the second choice. Sure. Cam Boozer is being treated like he's not an option. I find that to be nuts. I find the likely to end up unanimous player of the year who's a freshman who might win the national championship being plus 750 to go first overall a bit wild. I'm also a little surprised that Peterson is a minus price, and I can tell you this with the help of our team. Peterson's actually moved. They opened minus 125 and got bet to minus 135 quite quickly. Very early in the process, but my February 24th thoughts, Boozer is being disrespected, and it is way too early to have someone sit as a minus price in this market when every single night Kansas plays, I am asked, is Darren Peterson playing? Are we sure he should be minus 135 to go first overall? AJ Dybonsa plays later tonight. He's expected to flirt with a 30-point triple-double. Like, it's very interesting that is where it's positioned. But again, it's hard to scream bloody murder at the books when, again, I know for a fact they got pushed up to minus 135 off a minus 125 number. So they obviously had reason to think that was where they should be pricing Peterson. Time will tell, but I would imagine that Boozer number grows shorter. That, of the three prices, I feel most confident about. Again, Boozer is right now looking to take a halftime tie, it looks like. He'll have to settle for just tying with Notre Dame at 51-20, or unless Notre Dame's going to get a couple of freebies up here and actually cover, a first half spread. of them head-to-head against Boozer. Other halftime scores, don't love these. 32-19, UVA is up on NC State. If you told me the Cavs were held to 32, I would think we're right in range. NC State is shooting 18% from the field. What? How's that a thing? That's so bad by NC State. You have to think they have some life in the second half. But also, I'm not going to double down. I'm good on that. Cincinnati was up the entire first half. They're down 8. I mean, I watched Donovan Atwell. Donovan Atwell is shooting his way into being drafted. He's shooting 45%, 46% this year on threes. Feels light from the Texas Tech tape I've seen this year. I've never seen him miss. I don't know. He's 3 for 6 allegedly in this game. Disagree. The footage of those 3 misses are deleted, and they just keep showing replays of him hitting. St. Louis is, I don't know, man. Hey, the A-10's all right. They were just 3.5-point favorites. I get that. They were upset by Rhode Island, got nearly smashed by VCU, monster comeback, and then let Dayton get up 20 on them. I don't know. St. Louis is kind of begging to get beat here. It's interesting stuff. Folks, don't forget to get in the mix. They are Lakers team total 117.5. We'll see you tomorrow on SportsGrid.